Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. It is Wednesday, July the 23rd, 2025. U.S. stock market has been closed for just about 12 or 13 minutes at the time I'm recording this today. Um, as far as the indexes are concerned, the markets had a really good, solid move up today. A lot of this was, we talked about last night. I did the podcast really late last night. And we talked about the announcement that was made after the close of the market about a big deal with Japan, a big trade deal with Japan. And a lot of today's movement to the upside had to do with that Japan trade deal and in general, the optimism over more to come. Dow Jones up 500 points at the end of the day, S&P up almost 50, NASDAQ up 123. Those are all solid gains of, two-thirds or more, three-quarters for the S&P, a little over 1% for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So, really strong day for the three major indexes. And again, a lot of today's move had to do with that, just general optimism in the economy that's kind of sparked by the trade deal with Japan. And then again, the expectation that more of these trade deals are coming, that between now and August 1st, we're going to get a handful more of these deals. And, hopefully some other really big countries and collectively the European Union will hopefully be included in that. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it will play out the way it would be most beneficial to our economy. The unfortunate maybe cloud to this really nice day for the indexes is that several companies that we are specifically trading had really bad days, and it's usually when you get the three major indexes going in one direction, you don't have a handful of your core holdings that are all going the opposite way. But today we had CrowdStrike, Coreweave, and MicroStrategy all trending the opposite of what the indexes were doing. In the case of CrowdStrike, we made an adjustment this morning on the triple play side of things, not yet on the SOS spread trade side. And the reason we haven't made an adjustment yet on the SOS spread trade side is because CrowdStrike, I think, is very, very likely to come back up. And our options are clear out in October. There's just not, we don't need to get in a hurry to make an adjustments. Once CrowdStrike feels, and I thought this was the case at the close yesterday, once it feels like it set up a solid level of support, it broke right through that today. So the next test is right here at 450. Once we feel like we've got a very solid level of support and we're getting a bounce, that will be the time to make an adjustment by probably buying to close our short calls. This is on the October bull call spread. Probably buying to close our short calls, waiting for the stock to rebound a little bit. And then when it's very advantageous, maybe adding a new short call with a nearer term expiration date. So that's why on the longer term trade, I have not made an adjustment yet to CrowdStrike. Coreweave, I have so far held off on an adjustment to Coreweave. They weren't beat up quite as bad today, but still trended very much against what everything else in the market did. Coreweave seems to have set up some support right here in this 125 to 130 range. They finished the day today at 126. Their lowest point of the day was a little bit above 125. And it kind of feels like they're setting up some support there. Now, they haven't really turned the corner and started to move back up. So we've got to watch this one and be kind of careful on it. But the Coreweave trade we have open is, again, it's a little bit of a longer term trade. There's not as much of an urgency. And we did make a simple adjustment on that one, moving a 210 strike price call down to 205 to match the 205 long call we have. So the Coreweave, and you can see on Coreweave, we're actually still just a tiny bit profitable, not by very much, but still just a little bit profitable. The CrowdStrike trade, it's down, but I'm actually quite confident it is going to turn the corner and come back up. So I'm not too worried about it. This morning, we successfully closed out our Amazon trade, got almost 17% at my closing price on it. So very happy with that one. And NVIDIA and Palantir had really good days today. So in the big picture, the the negative moves on CrowdStrike and Coreweave didn't sting quite as bad, but on the triple play side, this MicroStrategy one is probably the most stressful of them right now. I still believe that in spite of the sell off today, if you look at a chart on MicroStrategies, um, today's move ended up being about $13, almost $14. At one point in time, it was down over $16 a share. Um, but it it hasn't crossed over technically on the RSI yet, and it has not crossed over technically on the 5 and 20-day moving average. And this company, a $7, $8, $9, $10 a move in one day is almost nothing for this company. That's almost the average range that they trade in. So I'm concerned that it dropped as much as it did today, but I think there's a good possibility that tomorrow and Friday it can very, very easily come back up and bounce back up above 420. The best thing we can do right now on MicroStrategy is watch Discord if at all possible tomorrow morning. And if they're moving down again tomorrow morning at the open of trading tomorrow, if MicroStrategy is moving down, we will absolutely unequivocally make an adjustment to it and not let it get any worse than it is. We'll either roll it out a week or two if we can do so for very little debit, or we'll roll it into a bear call spread if it's dropping enough and salvage the trade in that way. My gut feeling tells me, and I could be wrong, but my gut feel tells me that it's going to bounce back up. And relative to how much it moves on a typical day, really doesn't have to come up very far. It doesn't have to come up very far at all. So we'll hope for that to happen tomorrow. On a couple of other trades, as we speak right now, Tesla is reporting their earnings and Alphabet is reporting their earnings. Alphabet, upon the release of some numbers, started to go down quite a bit. They're coming back up a little bit. We just need the stock to go, up towards 195 or down towards 185. It's smack dab in the middle right now. But we kind of have to wait and see what the entirety of the report is and how they start trading tomorrow morning at the open. Tesla. I can see this headline right here, but it says Tesla sales miss as revenue drops for a second straight quarter. Got to be careful with Tesla because Tesla could report some pretty dismal numbers, and you could still see the stock jump to the upside if Elon Musk in the conference call can convince people that whatever happened this last quarter is kind of bottoming out and things are going to pick up and move up from there. No one should be surprised with a miss in revenue because Elon spent the first half of this year very distracted. And, we'll see what happens. These are just the initial numbers, and it's too early to tell until tomorrow morning what to expect out of the stock. Moving at 16% decline in automotive revenue. Earnings per share came in at 40 cents versus the 43 cents expected. Revenue came in at 22.5 billion versus the 22.74 billion. That's still a lot of revenue. They're still making money. But people are going to be much more interested in how Tesla guides for next quarter. If Elon can convince people that it's got a lot of upside from right here, it doesn't matter what it's doing currently in aftermarket reporting and aftermarket trading. It's all going to come down to how they guide and how people interpret that for the open of the market tomorrow. And really the same thing with Alphabet. You can see they've slid a little bit farther right now. And this slide down to 186.99 relative to the trade that we have on with these guys, we only need them to go down to about 185. Anything at or below 185, and we're looking at potentially making our full target profit on Google. So we'll see, or Alphabet, I should say. We'll see if they continue to slide as things open up tomorrow. Just like we did with the Texas Instrument trade this morning, at the open of the market tomorrow, we will probably try to exit whatever the winning side of the trade is, and then leave the losing side of the trade as is. Now, with both of these trades, the Tesla and Alphabet, one thing that we've got to keep a really close eye on, because we've got options that expire Friday. So we only have Thursday and Friday as trading days. So one thing that we've got to really watch close is that there's enough movement to the upside or enough movement to the downside to guarantee the profitability of our trade. And if it doesn't look like that's going to happen, then we've got to make a pretty quick adjustment by rolling one or both of the short options in closer to where the stock is trading at that midpoint between the long option strike prices. So I would encourage you very strongly, if at all possible, that you're watching Discord tomorrow, because in that first 30 minutes to an hour of trading, if an adjustment is needed on either one of these, Alphabet or Tesla, that's when we're going to do it, is at the open of the market tomorrow within about that first 30 minutes. And we might have a much better idea of how they're going to trade in the pre-market trading tomorrow. I mean, right now we're looking at the aftermarket movement, and it's pretty weak, 2% on Alphabet. That's very weak movement, but we're in the early minutes of the reporting in the conference call. Tesla hasn't even moved 1/4%. But I don't even know if the conference call has started with Tesla. I believe the numbers came out, but the conference call has not yet begun. So we'll see on both of these companies what happens, and there'll be a lot more to look at and talk about tomorrow morning. I will be on Discord for at least an hour before the market opens, and for that first hour that things are trading, and we'll have a better feel for what to do. Collar trades, all looking good. Everything. I will make an adjustment to Coreweave. I plan on doing it this week, but today's movement, I was hoping for some upward movement, of course. Today got a little bit of downward movement, but again, I think they're holding that level of support. I talked about this earlier, but relative to the collar trade, I do think they're holding that level of support at 125. And if they do that for another day, that will give us a better feel for the right and appropriate adjustment to make. So hang tight on Coreweave for just another day, but I will make an adjustment this week. It's possible I won't do it until Friday after the close for a Monday morning open, but it will happen very soon. Everything else is pretty set up for earnings the way we want it, so we're gonna sit tight. One last note on the spread trade side of things. I'm not sure if I want to go through another earnings report on Palantir. We could go through another earnings report on this long-term Palantir trade by adding some a new long put and maybe a short put as well, basically protecting it with a bear put spread or a bear put calendar of some sort. But I'm kind of tempted to take a really fantastic profit on Palantir, and then we can always enter a new Palantir trade right after earnings. Palantir will report a week from this coming Monday, so I've got a little bit of time to decide, but there's a good chance Palantir's sitting there at all-time highs right now. In fact, today might have been a new all-time high finish. Let's see, back here, Palantir closed at 153.99, 153.52. Then they dropped a couple of days, 154.62. I believe that is a new all-time high close for Palantir. Maybe a good time to take the really nice profit we have in this trade and exit out of it. I'll give it some serious thought over the next half an hour or so. and look for a possible email with a recommendation to close Palantir and take this profit and be done with it. I don't know that it can't push a little bit higher, so I'm not real anxious to pull the trigger, but might be the right timing to, it's kind of like the athlete who retires right after they win the World Series or the Super Bowl or a big major golf tournament, whatever the case is. They talk about going out on top, and maybe now's the right time to do that with Palantir. I'll think about it and maybe see what they do in a little bit of aftermarket trading, and then decide what we might want to do at the open tomorrow. So let's see if there's a tiny bit of they were up $5.50 a share today. A little bit of aftermarket movement to the downside, but not a lot relative to how much they were up today. So we'll see. We'll figure out what we want to do. If we decide to close, I'll make sure everybody has notice well ahead of the open of the market tomorrow morning. If you don't get an email on it, it means I've decided to sit tight for another day or two. All right, I'm going to wrap up right there. Keep an eye out on Discord, especially for what to do with MSTR, and then we'll talk about how to exit Alphabet and Tesla as we get some more definitive directional move on them. You can see that both of them are trading to the downside with their numbers, but boy, we need both of them to drop a fair amount more to guarantee us some profitability in these. So we'll be watching that closely in the morning. Thanks, everybody. Hope you had a good Wednesday. I'll be back around the close of the market tomorrow to record tomorrow's podcast. Thanks. Bye-bye.